Good evening, Hawks fans, and welcome back to the Atlanta Sports District. I'm your host, Russell Spence, coming to you directly after a 131 to 113 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. An absolutely wonderful team win. Our now first time being over 500 in quite a while. Quite a wonderful victory for the team. Very proud of the effort tonight. Wonderful on both ends, and did it without kind of the catalyst for this winning streak in Jonathan Kuminga. About an hour before the game tipped off, we got news that Jonathan Kuminga would not be playing tonight. That knee is still giving him some issues. Hopefully that does not, continue to spiral throughout the year. I'm hoping that we can continue to see what kind of player he is, to see what our, future decisions on Jonathan Kuminga are going to be. But for right now, the wonderful thing that we've got going on is that the Hawks have officially become over 500. We are 32 and 31. We have been climbing this mountain that we dug ourselves for a very, very long time, and finally we are over it. So, getting into the game that got us over 500, this win against the Milwaukee Bucks, we're going to start with the defense. So, in the first quarter, the defense was literally horrible. Absolutely god awful. Just viscerally awful, getting ripped apart. And yet, we only gave up 113 points in the whole game. We gave up 71 points in the first quarter. And with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they only had 101, meaning they had only scored 30 points for the entire second half up to that point. The defense really picked up in the latter half of the second quarter, and for the entire second half, I think that we came out a little lackadaisical, and we also probably got chewed out a little bit about our lack of effort. And because of that, when we did not have good effort, we got ran off the floor, so we got chewed out. So when the effort improved, we ran them off the floor and ended with a very easy win. By the end of it, the score does not exactly display how tough this win was for the majority of the game, but by the end of it, we were playing our substitutes. They were playing their substitutes, and both teams had conceded that this was the outcome that was going to happen. The Hawks were going to beat the Bucks because we were ahead by that much. Um, Overall, I thought that the rotations were very good. I thought that we did still, and it's really starting to grind my gears, that we still are throwing out there the CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, Jock Landale lineup. It is getting really, really, really annoying to me to say that lineup, the data behind it is very bad. Stop playing that lineup. But we were able to mitigate it. We had Mo and we had Zach on the floor with it majority of the time when it was on the floor. The defense was mitigated a little bit. And with mitigating how bad that defense was, we were able to really, really ramp up the intensity for the rest of the time. When we didn't have that lineup on the floor, the defense became extraordinarily intense. We also made a very important change that I think helped us to make that intensification to happen. And that was we put Dyson on Giannis. Now, usually you would think that's really stupid because Giannis is a huge freight train engine coming downhill, ramming over people. You need a big guy. And even me, we started off the game and he was destroying Onyeka. And so I said, put in Mo. Put in someone who's physically as big as him and let's see how this goes. That's not what we did. We put Dyson on him instead and said, you can't get downhill because he's going to take the dribble away, first of all. And second of all, he's going to cut off your angle. And if you run him over, it will be an offensive foul. And so when he couldn't get downhill anymore, he would have to change directions, slowing him down. And also, that meant that our two bigger players that had been guarding Giannis were now waiting for Giannis at the rim after he had been forced to slow down. That was a big defensive change, and it drastically helped with the defensive output of this team, but also it threw off their game plan. Their game plan often is that Giannis will get downhill. And so when the defense collapses into the paint, we kick it to our shooters like AJ Griffin and Torian Prince didn't play tonight, but Torian Prince, these players that like their whole thing is I catch it off of an inside out pass and I shoot it and it goes in a lot. It really hindered their ability to have that kind of game plan for those players, and it made it where they couldn't really play them. And so, like Ousmane Dieng had a great first quarter, didn't play super great for the rest of the game. AJ Green had a great first quarter, didn't play super great for the rest of the game because we took away what they do well. And that's what good defensive teams do. Now, moving to the offense, pretty fantastic for the entire night. Ball movement was great, low turnover number, super fast pace, playing well in transition, looked like Atlanta Hawks basketball. We were making threes, we were inside out passing, we had great movement. They even said on the broadcast the spacing was fantastic. We got, offerings from every single player. Every single player showed up and gave us something tonight offensively. And that is the marker of a great team. A great team plays amazing defense and plays championship level defense. And everyone gives them something offensively. It doesn't have to be amazing, but you have to give them something. Tonight we got a great showing from Mo Gay. We got a great showing from Jock Landale in terms of his ability to pass and screen. And he did score a little bit, but a lot of his impact was actually from his kind of ancillary things that he did to help the offense function. We had wonderful, the offerings from every single player offensively, and that to me is very, very intriguing. I will say we went away from Gabe Vincent tonight, which I didn't love, except for I kind of understand it. Gabe is very defensively oriented, hinders some of the offense with his shot making ability. And when you're playing a team who has pretty poor guard play in terms of like they have Ryan Rollins, who's again like a catch and shoot guy, great defender, great ball mover, but not really a on ball scorer. Cam Thomas is not really going to kill you unless he just crazy gets hot. And the rest of their guards are pretty awful. And so when they're not needing that great defensive output from Gabe Vincent, it made sense to lean into Corey Kispert tonight, which they did. I thought he played pretty well in his minutes, really spread the floor and was kind of hounding. We'll get to that in a second, but I think that really helped the offense having that spacing. And so, like I said, every single person gave a contribution. And that is what is the marker of a great team. Championship level defense, and everyone contributes on offense. There you go. If you want to win a championship, that's how you do it right there. So, moving to the player by player section, wonderful news. We got ourselves some Caleb Houston minutes, and we got ourselves some Keaton Wallace minutes, which means we kicked the crud out of somebody tonight. And it just happened to be the Milwaukee Bucks, who their loss makes them less likely to make the playoffs. And that means they're in the lottery, and that makes our odds for the first overall pick much better. Every time they lose a game, we should revel in it. Every time New Orleans loses a game, we should revel in it. Pray for their downfall because we really want a great pick. And both of them being bad gives us a huge opportunity at a great pick. So, wonderful win tonight. Christian Koloko also got in. Good for him. Great job. As I said, Gabe Vincent, he only played 5 minutes. He had no points on 0 of 2 shooting. He only had 1 rebound and no assists. And he finished minus 11. Again, the defense was pretty bad in his stint. And also, they didn't really need his services in tonight's game. They don't have guards that we need to hound. And so we didn't need Gabe Vincent. I thought it was a smart decision to go away from him in the second half. And it ended up proving fruitful because we played super wonderfully in the second half. Moving on, we're going to talk about Mohamed Gay. So Mo played 13 minutes. He had 8 points on 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 2 from 3, 5 rebounds, no assists, no turnovers, only 1 foul. Didn't record a steal or a block, but the defense was fantastic, but only finished +2. Again, because during that stint in the first quarter, we got kind of ran off the floor. And also, he had that end of the game where they kind of made a little bit of a run because we had our bench guys in. Mo was better than +2 tonight, especially in the second half. That stint in the second half, we kind of took over the game with Mo on the floor. And you're going to see here in a second, it actually negatively affected everyone's plus minus from that run in the first half. But in the second half, they were able to regain some form. Mo is super fantastic. I think that even with Kuminga there, I would be finding ways to play Mo. I think that he is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. I see a lot of these lists that are like the most underrated player on every team, and they keep giving it to Keaton Wallace. And I like Keaton. I do. But he is not the most underrated player on this team. It's not even close. I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is way more underrated than him. People do not realize how well he's been playing. Mohamed Gay is way more underrated. Even Jack Landale is way more, like, he is playing fantastic. Like, to the point where I'm kind of starting to wonder, is he not just a third center in the NBA? He's playing that good in his minutes that he's been on the floor. So yeah, Mo has just been super fantastic. And again, I would be looking to play him no matter who is healthy, no matter who is not. Mo Gay needs to play because he makes winning plays for your basketball team. Now, moving to Jock Landale, like I said, he had a pretty good game. He played 16 minutes. He had 8 points on 3 of 5 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3. He had 1 rebound, 3 assists, did have 3 fouls, not super wonderful there. The defense was pretty bad. But he finished +1. Again, big negative in the first half, big positive in the second half, and we blew him out in the second half. Really wonderful stuff. I do think that Jock is making a positive impact on a lot of players. I think he's making Dyson more aggressive, which is helpful. I know that they're very, very close because they play on the same national team. They've known each other for years. And I think that since we've acquired Jock Landale, Dyson looks to be more offensively aggressive. I also think he's having a very positive impact on Mo and Jalen because both of them have looked more physically assertive. They use their size more, and I think that they're watching Jock Landale do that, and they're like, I could do that. I'm just as big and strong, so I'm just going to push that guy over, and we're going to go to the rim. And it's been working very well for both those players in their stints. Mo had that one section today where he caught a pass that usually he would just kind of flip it up there, and it might go in, it might not. And instead, he said, like, no, I am going to the rim. I only have 1 foot to go, but I'm going to ram into you, and then I'm going to take a very easy shot instead. That kind of thing is stuff they're learning from Jock Landale, and he's playing extremely well in his minutes. As I said, kind of making me a Jock Landale believer with the way he's been playing. Next, we're going to talk about Corey Kispert. So Corey played 20 minutes. He had 7 points on 3 of 7 shooting, only 1 of 5 from 3, but they guarded him like a shooter. The spacing was very helpful tonight. He had 1 rebound and had 7 assists. Moved the ball very well, added a lot of value that way. Didn't record a steal or a block, but was plus 21 in the game. If he could play like that, play enough defense to play well, and not die on that end of the floor, and if he can move the ball with success and score at a decently, I mean, it wasn't great, but decently efficient clip, that right there, you can play. The problem is that has not been the case every game. So we're kind of getting like a schizophrenic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Corey Kispert. One night he's going off for 33 against Washington and destroying them. And one night he looks like, I don't know, Olimar walking out there. That might be a little bit niche of a joke, but he looks terrible. I mean, and then you come back the next game and he got 7 assists and plays really good on defense and it's really helping you win. Be Dr. Jekyll more and don't be Mr. Hyde as much. There you go. Thank you, Corey. Moving on. We are going to talk about Zachary Richase. So Zach played 20 minutes. He had 12 points on 4 of 9 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3, 4 rebounds, no assists, but only 1 turnover. He had 2 steals and finished the game -6. Now again, that's not really fair because he was on the floor for that end of the game thing where we really didn't score at all, and they made a couple of baskets, and it made it look a little bit worse for him in terms of plus minus. Plus, he was on the floor with that really bad defensive lineup in the first half, and so Zach played much better than -6 reads. The defense was awesome all night long. He made open catch and shoot jumpers, very helpful, and he was aggressive going towards the basket. Now, not always to look for his own shot. That's what a lot of people want him to do. I'm like, he doesn't have to attack to score. It's one of the things I say is like the best players in basketball are the ones who play like aggressive. They play active and then play passive. They attack like they're going to score, and everybody goes, "Oh no, stop that guy! He's going to the rim." And then once everybody's focused on them, they go, "Oh, by the way, there's a lob to Onyeka Okongwu, dunk." That's the way that Trey played for years. Active to passive, active to passive. The best players can play active and make it look like they are going to score. And then they give it to their teammate who gets a wide open opportunity because they looked that aggressive. Zach had multiple moments tonight where he played downhill, and then the defense is like, "Oh, stop that guy." And then he kicks, and then there's a swing, and we get a wide open three because of it. That kind of thing, really, really helpful. Make your open jumpers, play downhill like that, play active to passive. Really helpful for night from Zach. Now, moving to the starters, we're going to start off with CJ McCollum. So CJ played 27 minutes. He had 18 points on 5 of 11 shooting. Pretty great efficiency. Only 2 of 7 from 3. That means he was making up a lot of what he was doing in the 2-point department, was making up for a lot of what he was doing in the 3-point department, which is very helpful. If you're not making threes, find other ways to score. Great job. He had 2 rebounds, 8 assists, only 1 turnover. He's playing within the framework. That's what these numbers tell you, and that's what the eye test told me, right? He recorded a steal and a block. So he is sitting there with, I'm playing harder on defense, doing everything I can. I'm playing within the framework. I'm not turning the ball over. I'm getting some assists. I'm not shooting the ball well from 3, so I'm going to attack the basket. And then he finishes plus 12. There's no coincidence there. That's enough positive things stacked on top of one another that we're going to win your minutes. If he does that every night, I'm very pro CJ McCollum for this season. I'm still not pro CJ McCollum coming back like in free agency. That's not me. I do not want him back. Because, quite honestly, I look and I go, we're about to draft a dude at the top of the draft, and Kuminga's going to be here full time. And we already kind of have a roster crunch where we're having to play 10 guys. We don't really need him. And so, to me, I would say sayonara and let him play out the rest of the season, help us get into the playoffs, and help us get some positive playoff experience. But tonight he was fantastic. Next, we're going to talk about Dyson Daniels. So Dyson played 32 minutes. He had 14 points on 7 of 10 from the field. Really great. 0 of 1 from 3, and man, it was an ugly one. Still got to keep working on that. 10 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers. Defense was sensational. 0 steals, but 2 blocks, and played one-on-one defense for 3/4 of the game against Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, that's unheard of that a guard would be like, "I've got him," and do it well. That's crazy. And he finished plus 19 in his minutes. Again, if you score efficiently, if you get rebounds, if you don't turn the ball over, and you play great defense, your team is going to crush while you're on the floor. I mean, every time. Promise. Played fantastic. Really great job, Dyson. Moving on, we're going to talk about Onyeka Okongwu. So Onyeka played 29 minutes. He had 21 points on 9 of 14 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3. He had 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. He did have 3 steals and 3 blocks and finished plus 17. Again, was very rough in the first quarter against Giannis. But once they made the adjustment of putting Dyson on Giannis and he was guarding at the rim, Onyeka played so well. Outplayed Miles Turner like his head was spinning. I mean, fantastic stuff. And people all the time are like, oh, Miles Turner, that's a perennial all-star. Well, tonight, he looked like a bum compared to Onyeka Okongwu. That guy was fantastic tonight. Amazing work from Onyeka. And again, if he continues to play like this, we could get a haul for him because teams want these guys who are super duper like hyper switchable and can rebound pretty well and shoot from three. And he's on a really small contract. He only makes like $13 million a year. Dude, some team is going to come a knocking, and they might give a package that I would have a hard time turning down because Onyeka's playing that well. So great job. We might get a ton of assets out of you, or we may continue to have a really good playing center. Both are options. So next we're going to talk about Nall. So Nall played 30 minutes. He had 23 points on 9 of 14 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3. Very good shooting efficiency. Only had 1 rebound, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. Again, passing, he's got to get these reads down. He's making the correct read and making it too hard. Just go off 2 feet and make the right pass. Simple. When he does that, he has huge assist numbers, very low turnover numbers. He doesn't always do that, and that's a big problem. Next, we're going to talk about how the fact that he had a steal, no blocks, but he was plus 17. Again, the starters won their minutes heavily, which when you think about the fact that our starters were usually on the floor with their starters, usually what happens against the Bucks is your starters lose because there's a Giannis on the other team. And then your bench kicks the crud out of their bench and you still win. If that's how you win, that's usually what happens. Not tonight. We just took it to their starters and punched them in the mouth, and they didn't know what to do about it. And that is really, really encouraging. When you can win the minutes with Giannis on the floor, you're playing some good basketball. And lastly, we're going to talk about Jalen Johnson. So he played 32 minutes, only had 20 points on 7 of 17 shooting. Not great efficiency there, but again, the spacing is still a little bit weird with him and Dyson on the floor. He was 1 of 2 from 3. He had 5 rebounds, 9 assists, did have 3 turnovers, but again, huge usage rate. He finished with 2 steals and was plus 16. There were multiple moments where the defense from Jalen tonight was absolutely unacceptable, especially in that first quarter. I think really what happened was Quinn Snyder chewed out Jalen Johnson and said, you cannot give that defensive effort and expect to be a star level player. And when your coach chews out your star, usually that makes everybody play harder. And so I think that's what happened. And all of a sudden the intensity ramped up, the defense improved, and we won the game, especially because the defense from Jalen improved. From quarter 2 on, Jalen was locked in. He played super hard. He had multiple possessions where he was the catalyst for either them turning it over, him specifically getting a steal, affecting shots at the rim. Wonderful play defensively from Jalen after that first quarter. And so I think probably what happened is that he got some, hide chewed out of him, and it worked. It shouldn't have to happen, though. He should walk into a game saying, I'm going to give the most effort I possibly can, defensively and offensively. That's what's always made Giannis so great. Everybody thinks, and this is not correct, everyone thinks that Giannis's superpower is that he's big and strong. That's not his superpower. I can name a bunch of big, strong players. Tons of them. Giannis's superpower is that he doesn't care if he dies on the floor. He is going to run as hard as he can on both ends of the floor, giving full and complete effort for 48 minutes if he has to win. That's his superpower. He's in that good of shape. If Giannis Antetokounmpo is in that good of shape, Jalen Johnson has to be in that good of shape, where he could run for 48 minutes at a pace where everyone else would fall over and die of a heart attack. And he's fine. And then that is when he will be a top, whatever you want to name, player in the world. Because he's that kind of talent. Now do the work to be like Giannis. Because Giannis still tonight, it was like, Jalen's good. He ain't Giannis. So what's the difference? It's the superpower that Giannis has of playing that hard for that long, every second of the game, no matter what. Jalen gets that, then he's a top one. He could literally reach that. He could be the best player on planet Earth if he reaches that kind of effort. So let's hope he does, because I think it would be really cool to have the best player on planet Earth on our team. Moving forward, the Atlanta Hawks play on Saturday. This is a game that can be streamed on NBA TV, but also will be on FanDuel. It's at 6 p.m. on Saturday. We keep getting these weird times. I'm not really loving it. I mean, if this is very late in the night for me to be recording and posting. And yeah, 6 p.m., much more helpful, but it's still very kind of early for a Saturday game, but it's because it's the national slot. They want to get as many games as possible in on Saturdays. I get it. We play the 76ers. They've been struggling. Let's hope for, 6 in a row. That would be really awesome. We're red hot right now, playing great. Let's hope we get Kuminga back. I'm hoping to have an episode before that game where we can discuss kind of the things that have been going on with the Hawks and this winning streak and things like that. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Tell a friend about the podcast. Send it to somebody you know. If you talk about basketball in the office or something like that, send it to one of your friends. Let them see if they agree with me or disagree with me. Hit me up on all the socials. I got them all. Y'all know them. Like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. I really appreciate the recent support from you guys. It's really been helpful. And I like the discourse. If people want to talk or want to disagree with my takes, I actually enjoy that because seeing from a different perspective is always a nice thing to do. With that being said, as I always say, another great win from the Hawks. They're really playing well. And above everything else, I hope you have a great day.